This week on the Pro Wrestling Podcast. The explosion not heard round the world. That's right, we're talking about it. We're going to go there. Christian talks about his big return to professional wrestling. Fuego Del Sol and QT Marshall finally have their match. And a big, fat, sweaty guy sticks his ass in your face. And it's cool, and people like it. As always, I'm your humble host, Seth Grimes, and this is the Pro Wrestling Podcast. All right, guys, we gotta talk about it. I know we don't talk about the in-ring stuff here. That's not what we do on this podcast. But fortunately for us, there are other podcasts that are talking about this incident. So that allows me to talk about this incident. And of course, I'm referring to the botch of the century at AEW Revolution. The biggest botch since Shockmaster, bigger than Shockmaster. Check out these clips from some of the podcasts talking about the big botch this past weekend and what they thought about it.
You're letting you're leaving the main event of your show to the elements, right?
Well, I'm just wondering who was the tech guy. You know,
yeah. You mean the guy looking for a job?
I was just wondering, who was the tech guy who put that thing together, because the ending, the finale with the bombs going up, it was almost, I wouldn't say almost, it was comical. It was comical in a sense to what, was that it? Are you kidding me? And then to cover it up by saying, Kenny Omega, he built this thing, come on here.
And that is why I said from day one, if you're going to do it, you better do it right. Because look at what happened when it goes wrong. Yeah, the explosion wasn't that good. The fans didn't get to see everything go boom. That's not the problem, Dave. The problem is the talents that were in the ring that had to endure the malfunction, I'll call it, whatever it was. The explosion malfunction, just like a wardrobe malfunction can happen.
Yeah.
Eddie Kingston comes to save his friend. His friend that has beat the shit out of him for a while jumps on top of him. They're trying to create one of the greatest moments in barbed wire deathmatch history. Onita covering Terry Funk while when the cage explodes. A martyr, the ultimate babyface. Poof.
Yeah,
that's what we got. Poof.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Onita Funk match, everybody would watch that, and I think several barbed wire matches to get a feel for it. And we did a lot of tests and safety precautions with the fire marshal. And I think the story kind of gave us an out for the ring not completely exploding and killing both guys, because again, it was Kenny's construction, this thing he built to be the Moxley extermination chamber, and you saw him kind of build it crudely with a hammer, and it looked like a great plan. And to be fair, it worked all through the match. And Kenny's such a great wrestler. He survived it, and he got to the finish, and he was in trouble. The Good Brothers came out to help him. So there was a story there. The construction of it was such that, we're using barbed wire and had to take a lot of precautions and treat it with great care. And we had to do a lot of rehearsals of the explosions. But again, there's only so much you can really do with explosions without really hurting people. So I think that's why it was good to give us an out with a story when we didn't actually explode the ring, that maybe Kenny's craftsmanship as a bomb builder is not his forte. Maybe he should stick to wrestling.
I mean, what is there to say about this? We get the big countdown. 3, 2, 1. The ring's going to blow up. Eddie Kingston is covering his friend, Jon Moxley. The big face turn, right? And then pop, whiz, fizzle, couple firecrackers go off and sparklers in the corners. And that's it. That's all we get. My kids have set off bigger fireworks than what went off in the quote-unquote exploding barbed wire death match. And now, I'm not here to knock AEW. I'm an AEW. I don't even watch WWE barely, okay? I watch AEW every single week. So let's just put that out there now. But I'm also not a fanboy. I'm going to call a spade a spade. I'm going to call it like I see it. And at AEW Revolution, it was a whole lot of not good, okay? There were some good matches. There was some good shit that went on. I'm not here to review the show. That's not what we do here. It's unfortunate that this had to happen. AEW is still a really new company, and they're still trying to make their name, and they're still trying to get themselves over as an equal to competitor to WWE. Now, of course, we know that this will probably never happen, but they're a lot closer to a WWE than they are, say, a TNA or a Ring of Honor. They are more akin to a WCW in their heyday than they are a Ring of Honor or an Impact Wrestling. So they're number 2, but they're not a distant number 2, but they'll never be number 1. This is not going to help them. There's a couple things going on here. This was the overhyped debut of Christian Cage. I love Christian. I'm glad he's there. I'm excited to see him there. I'm excited to see him wrestle. Was he the biggest signing in the history of wrestling ever? No. Was he hyped to be? Yes. We had Tony Khan on all these podcasts talking about this is the biggest star, Hall of Fame worthy that we've signed, blah, 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 blah. And it's Christian Cage. No, we love Christian. Again, Christian, all the respect in the world. Mad respect. And that theme song, he got to keep his theme song. How about that? But, what a rough to hype something that much, you're almost surely going to disappoint, short of CM Punk or Brock Lesnar or all those big names that everybody was pondering about. This just off the heels of the Big Show coming into the most lukewarm debut of all time, standing out there on the stage with his shirt tucked into his jeans, saying, "Hey, I'm happy to be here, blah, 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 I didn't see this turn coming." Then you get the pop and fizzle and fucking limp dick exploding barbed wire match. And it's like, maybe this whole pay-per-view thing was a bit overhyped. Now, the barbed wire explosions, look, man, something went wrong. The pyro didn't work the way it should have. Shit like that happens, especially when you're live. Did they test it beforehand? I don't know. Did they blow up the ring before the show? They should have. They trusted their pyro team. Did they do it then? I mean, they have more fireworks for Cody fucking Rhodes' entrance than they had blowing up the ring. They could have just moved all of that pyro down to the ring and around the ring, and it would have looked better than it did. And if it was the idea that from the very beginning it was planned that we didn't really want to blow everybody up, but if what Tony Khan's saying is correct, we didn't really want to blow anybody up, so that's why we came up with the storyline that Kenny Omega was building the explosives, because then we could come back and say he botched it, then you are selling a pay-per-view for something that you're not going to deliver intentionally. So I hope he's making this up to kind of smooth things out and make it look like it wasn't a botch, but it would be much more professional, much more honest, much better to just come out and say, yeah, we had something big and cool planned and it just got fucked up somehow and we apologize, but shit happens when you're live. But no, we're covering it up and we're saying, oh no, this was our plan, this was the storyline, we can't really blow guys up. Then why the fuck would you even do this to begin with? We don't expect the ring to blow up. We expect it to look like it blew up. Put on a show. Make a big loud bang and fucking smoke and sparks everywhere. And that's all you needed. It's all it needed to be. And you could have easily did that. I said this last week on the show. This is going to be a stunt. This is special effects. This is a crew working to put together a show, to put together a presentation. This isn't guys actually blowing each other up. This is a work. It's a show. It's showmanship. But the guys who put together the pyro didn't fucking put together the pyro right. And it was just the biggest botch. Made worse by Eddie Kingston laying over the top of Dean, John Dean, James Dean, covering him, protecting him, shielding him from the explosion, and then nothing. And then Kingston just rolls off like he's dead with the limp arm. Man, now did Kingston even see that the pyro didn't go off? I don't know. I would like to think that a guy as much of a veteran as he is and John is, that if they had noticed, that they would have improvised and maybe like gotten back up and didn't sell it like they were dead. I don't know. I'm not the booker. I'm not the guy running shit in AEW. I'm just a fan, just watching a show like everybody else, just like you guys. And every one of us are sitting here armchair booking this shit. Every one of us is laughing at this. Every one of us is saying, what the fuck, man? Accidents happen, but here's the thing. First of all, this is on pay-per-view, not WWE Network pay-per-view for $10, but real pay-per-view for $50. People paid $50 to see nothing. Secondly, you have been hyping this shit for months. Okay, weeks, not months, but you get what I'm saying. My concern is that for the first time ever in AEW's existence, I was watching and I felt that maybe they don't have their shit together as much as they like to show that they do. And being a new company, that's fine. But if you're going to try to be the number 2, you need to have your shit together a little bit more. To the point of where you got to test your pyro before you put the pyro live. Now, if the fireworks don't go off on Cody's entrance, which they always do, you'll never see a botched Cody Rhodes entrance. But if the pyro always goes off for that, why can't it go off in the ring? It's just pyro. Why can't it go off on the box on the floor? Even like the rope bombs were great. The explosions in the ropes, that shit was fantastic. It looked like it needed to look. Explosions on the floor, not so much. But I let that slide. Okay, whatever. But the ring was supposed to explode. And if it doesn't explode, and that's what you're trying to sell, look, my kids, they don't like wrestling. As much as I've tried and forced them and taped them down and made them stare at the TV and fucking held their eyes open with my fingers, they don't like wrestling. But when I told my youngest son that there was going to be an exploding barbed wire death match, he was like, what? An exploding barbed wire death match? That sounds crazy. And I said, yes, son, it is. And he was excited to watch it with me. And it was on after his bedtime, so I told him, you know what? We'll watch this later. I will make sure you get to see this match. He's excited to see wrestling for the first time ever. And now I don't want to show it to him because he's going to laugh at it and go, well, that was stupid, and never want to watch the shit again. He's not the only one. How many people were like, okay, I'll bite. I'm going to check this out. And ended up being turned away by this. How many people have been already on the fence or against AEW? Because there are the people on the internet, as you know, that are like, oh, fuck AEW, blah. Those people had the biggest shit-eating grin on their face because they were justified. Because all the shit that they were saying about AEW being Bush League bullshit, and just a money mark, buying up all the old WWE guys and all that shit, right? Everything they've ever said about AEW, they were justified in this moment here in this night. Now, will this kill AEW? No. But this, mark my words, will set them back way more than they ever would have expected. This is a botch on the most epic scale. If they were hoping for their second million and to grow and to get the people that aren't watching AEW to give it a look or give it a second look, they're not going to get it when this news reaches the internet that they had a pop and a fizzle for an exploding barbed wire death match. They're going to get laughed at. And as much as, and if this was something that happened when they've been around for 10, 15, 20 years, it would have been no sweat off their back. But because this is a company that's trying to grow, they are trying to get that second million. They are trying to win over the haters and the doubters and the fence riders and the casual fans and the fans that just outright went away after the Monday Night Wars. And when fans, trust me, if they're not watching AEW, they're still paying attention. If they're a wrestling fan at all, whether they're a WWE for life or whatever the fuck their gimmick is, they are at least peripherally paying attention to AEW, whether it's through podcasts like this or the other ones or just their news feed, Twitter, whatever the fuck. They're going to see this and they're going to laugh and say, that's why I don't watch this. Are they right to do that? No, because AEW in general, I think, is a great company. It's a great show. It's entertaining to watch. But they have things in their show that just shows their greenness as a company. There's little things like Tony Khan going out there and overhyping every single fucking debut that happens, and then it turns out to be like fucking James Ellsworth or something, and it's like, well, what the fuck, man? I thought this was gonna be The Rock, and it's fucking Phil Baroni. It's nobody. Christian's not a nobody, but he's not the biggest signing in AEW history. He's not. He's not anywhere near the level that, and I get, as a promoter, you gotta hype shit. This is gonna be huge. This is gonna be one of our best shows. We got a huge star debuting. I get the mentality behind trying to sell this, but I feel like you're taking away your own credibility. Because now when Tony Khan gets on a podcast and he says, we got the next big signing coming up, and it's a huge surprise, and he's a huge star, and it's going to be one of our biggest signings ever, nobody's going to believe him. Everybody's going to just chuckle it away and be like, it's probably fucking Heath Slater or something. No disrespect to Heath Slater, but you get where I'm going with this. Tony Khan's a little bit of a hyperbolist. Is that a word? Can you be a hyperbolist? I don't know. But if not, then I'm making up that word now because he's a hyperbolist. He's becoming a hyperbolist. I don't trust him when he says that something is going to be huge anymore. I think either he's delusional and only he thinks that this is huge, or he's just being a promoter and just trying to bullshit the hype. Either way, I'm not buying in anymore. And now with the exploding barbed wire death match, it's like, how can you look forward to something now? When they come out and they're like, okay, now we're going to do this crazy new thing you've never seen before. Everybody's going to be like, oh, well, that's going to be a shit show. Accidents happen. I am not... Look, when you're live, and you're live on national TV, or you're live on pay-per-view, sometimes shit's just not going to happen the way it's meant to. WWE did an entire pay-per-view in the fucking dark because the power went out. And they didn't have a backup generator that could handle the shit. But they had already been around for so many years that they had built up the trust, the faith, and the forgiveness of the fans to just let that shit roll off and just be like, shit happens. But when you're on your second year, and you are hyping this as your biggest shit, and it's a flop, and it fizzles, and it's because of something that you could have did better as the owner of the company, as a brand, as AEW, you could have done better. You're letting people down too early in your run. And that turns enough people away. AEW is not so big right now that they can't be reduced to a TNA. If you remember, TNA Impact went head-to-head with Monday Night Raw and drew over 1 million, 2 million viewers? AEW has yet to pass 1 million other than their first episode, where there were potential fans that were going to check it out and see what was going on, and they didn't like what they seen. You can't fault them for that. You can't say they're wrong because it's opinion. Everybody has different tastes. Everybody likes different shit. You don't have to like AEW, and you're not wrong if you don't like it. But this is the kind of thing that's going to get, that word is going to get out to them. And that's not going to do anything to make them want to watch at all. In this overhyped debut of a big star that's going to be Christian Cage. Again, I say that like Christian Cage is fucking Kurt Hennig's kid. What's his name? That's not the case. Christian Cage is a huge star and a huge signing for AEW. But when you build it up to be the biggest thing ever, it's just not. And their handling of these things, I don't know if it was right to even say that there was going to be a big signing that night. Or if you were going to say it, just downplay the hyperbole a little bit. You don't got to build it up to be the biggest signing ever. You can just say it's a major signing. And the internet is not let off the hook here either, okay? A little bit of a sidebar here, right? I've talked about it on the show before. WandaVision. I'm a huge Marvel nerd. Most of you are, if you're not a Marvel nerd, you're aware of it, right? Huge. Marvel Universe. WandaVision. It was a fantastic show. A nearly perfect show. But what made it nearly not perfect? The entire internet speculating. Oh, it's going to be this. It's going to be that. They build shit up so big in their own mind. Speculating that whatever it's going to be could not possibly reach their expectations. It couldn't possibly work out the way that would be pleasing to anybody who's built their expectations up that high. And for that, they're a little bit fallible because you don't have the right to sit here and speculate that CM Punk's going to debut, or Brock Lesnar's going to debut, or The Rock's going to debut, or John Cena's going to debut. You don't have the right to speculate that when you have nothing to go off of other than your own imagination. Oh, they said it's a Hall of Fame worthy star. It must be CM Punk. Come on, man. You're to blame too, but not so much because they built into the hype. They built it up. They led you on. They led you to believe that it was bigger than it was. Had they not done that, it wouldn't have been a popcorn fart. This is a dangerous line for AEW to be walking right now. Tony Khan needs to be careful. He needs to tone down his hyperbole. He needs to put a fucking... What are those? He needs to put a ban on any kind of this is the biggest, this is the hugest, this is going to be a giant, blah, blah, blah. Stop hyping things. Just stop. I don't know how he can say things without sounding like he's... It's hard. It's hard. I get it. You want to hype this big announcement. But even Christian had said in an interview that we'll talk about here in a little bit. He said in the interview, I didn't even know that it was going to be hyped. I just thought it was going to be kind of a surprise. And then all of a sudden it became the biggest hype ever. And whoa, am I going to be able to live up to this? You put that pressure on Christian. You put that kind of pressure on him to walk out there. And if he doesn't get the biggest pop in the world, he doesn't get the fucking Road Warrior pop, then he's going to be disappointed too and think, okay, well, what the fuck am I doing here? And Big Show was a dud just before that. I mean, if you're going to debut the Big Show, you're just going to bring him out like standing next to Tony Schiavone with his t-shirt tucked into his jeans and say, hi there, guys. Nice to be here. Bet you didn't see that turn coming. It was the lamest shit ever. And I get he's just an announcer, so he's playing the announcer role. I'm just a guy with a microphone. But you are also a huge star. Physically huge and just star power wise. You're a huge star. Act like it. Be presented as such. Have the lights go out. Have pyro. Have music that doesn't suck. Christian got to keep his music, by the way. We'll address that later. Fucking awesome. I'm way off on a tangent here. But the moral of this story is this. AEW needs to tone down their overhyping of things. Their overpromising of things. And they are dangerously close to starting to lose their first million fans instead of gaining their second million fans. TNA Impact gets like 200,000 viewers. AEW is not far off from being that as well. They don't even crack 1 million now. They do with like the +3s and the +5s and whatever else maybe. But they probably have 1 million viewers. But they're going to lose them at this rate. They're going to lose those viewers. There are going to be people already that spent $50 on that pay-per-view, saw a popcorn fart, and swore off AEW and said they're never going to watch the shit again. I guarantee you there's at least one person out there, if not dozens, if not hundreds. There are people that are never going to watch AEW again because of this. And there are even more people that were going to watch AEW that are probably not going to watch it now. They're sitting back. Ha ha ha! That's why I don't watch that shit. And they're justified. And you can't even argue with them. Because they were probably wrong before, but now this gives them something to be right about. This is an uphill battle for them to climb now. It's gonna take a long ass time for them to climb back up from this. This is a credibility killer. Credibility killer. Are they doomed? Are they dead? Are they horrible now? Do they suck? Are they TNA? No, 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 and no. Double no for TNA. They're not. They're still WCW. But what year WCW are they? Where are they heading? This scared me. This was the first time I saw them and thought to myself, this company's got problems. And I'm as big a fan as AEW as they come. I support them. I watch them every week. But I can't take too many more things like that. Like the death match. Or Big Show and Christian. Not that they're there, but the way that they were presented to me. Underwhelming, underwhelming, underwhelming. Flop, flop, flop. Bad news for AEW. They'll come back from it, but they're going to have to work back up from it. It's going to take months of not botching shit, not fucking things up, under-promising, over-delivering, and building up that must-see-ness. Again, it's going to take months for that. I would not be shocked if their ratings go down for a few weeks. I would not be shocked if their next pay-per-view has lower buy rates. This is not something that they can't overcome, but they're going to have to work for it now to prove themselves to be an equal in the same conversation with WWE as opposed to being in the same conversation with Impact. They don't want to be in that conversation. And I know there's people listening that are Impact fans, and God bless you, and I love you, and I'm not trying to dog because I understand, new company, new owners, blah, blah, blah. It's still got that TNA stink on it, and it always will. And AEW needs to avoid having the AEW stink on it. Because once that happens, it is not going away. As evidenced by Impact, there is not a goddamn thing that they can do on this planet that is going to get them back to where they were. It's just never going to happen. They are a glorified indie company when they used to be head-to-head with Monday Night Raw, drawing 2 million viewers with main event stars. It is what it is. But I got to call it like I see it. I love AEW. They're going to do fine. But they got to turn that ship around. They got to work harder. They got to build that trust back and not let us down again. Because we can only take a couple more of those things before it just turns into TNA. And if that happens, they are long gone. Speaking of TNA, as we have multiple times here on this podcast, let's just keep that going. Here's a clip of Eric Bischoff on 83 Weeks talking about that infamous night at TNA Victory Road where Jeff Hardy made it out to the ring completely fucked up out of his mind, facing off with the Stinger Man. Check out this clip.
Makes the approach, and he said to you, "What the fuck are we going to do?" Or you could just see it on his face.
No, by that time, once I got close to Jeff, it was obvious he was fucked up. And I'm identifying Pat. I'm not sure if it was Pat, but whoever the agent was, essentially said he's fucked up. He's too fucked up to work. And then it became, okay, who's calling this? Because it wasn't my job. You know, I was the executive producer of the television show. I technically had no authority whatsoever and no official role in the pay-per-view unless I was a talent or unless I was asked to input on creative, which often I was, but not always. So I'm kind of standing there waiting for somebody to make a decision, and no decisions are being made. Now Jeff's making his way out to the ring.
Who was in charge? If you weren't in charge, where was Dixie? Who, if Dixie's not there, well, A, where was Dixie? And B, who had she sort of appointed? Hey, while I'm doing whatever the shit I've got to do for our business, you're running this. So take over.
Yeah, there was no captain of the ship in Gorilla.
Okay.
And Dixie I think Dixie was close because she was there. And it was my exchange with Dixie that was the catalyst for me to say, fuck it. Nobody else is going to do anything. The bell's going to ring, and it can't go down like this. I just didn't. And I don't want to make this sound like I'm putting myself over or I cared so much about Sting, or it was the show. I was concerned about the show. I didn't want Sting going out there and trying to have a match with a guy who was completely fucking wasted. Number one, I wasn't worried about Sting getting hurt because Sting was able to take care of himself. But the match would have been the shits. And I didn't want Sting to be in that position. Sting didn't know that Jeff was going to he had no idea that Jeff was going to show up fucked up. And then I'm looking for a decision, looking for somebody to come up with an idea. What do we do? Clock's ticking. We don't have a lot of time, folks. Can't call a meeting. Can't call Dallas. Somebody's got to call the ball. Who's going to call it? Crickets. Fuck it. I literally walked through the curtain not knowing what I was going to do. So I did what I did. I basically, told Jeff, take his finish. We're going to shorten this up. Take his fucking finish. I went to Sting. Now that's where I had to get a little more creative because I was trying to talk to Sting at the same time I was trying to cut a promo.
Yes.
And trying to hide it all and make it look like it was part of the show.
Right.
But I basically told Sting, hit him with your finish, get him the fuck out of here. Let's go home. Sting was able, I think, to communicate with the referee. I didn't have to talk to the referee. So that was it.
So for those of you who are Impact fans that maybe weren't around back then, that are wondering why I say the TNA stink, or why does everybody hate this company so much, it's shit like that right there. Eric talks about looking around and who's in charge here. Who's making the call on this? Dixie didn't do shit. He said she wasn't even there in Gorilla necessarily. What call did she make on this Jeff Hardy thing? Who allowed Jeff to walk out there? Eric looked around and there was nobody running this ship. He's the producer of the TV show at the time. He's not the booker. He's not the boss. He's not the boss of talent. He can't make those decisions. His job is to do business for Hulk Hogan and to make the TV show a better product. That was it. And Eric takes it upon himself to look around, see nobody's doing anything about this. Nobody even seems to notice, or if they do, they don't give a fuck or don't know what to do. No leadership. None. Bischoff goes out there, the leader that he is, the boss that he is. Say what you want about Eric Bischoff, but he's a boss. He's not afraid to make a decision, stick to that decision, and go do something. He went out there, he improvised on the spot, making it a no disqualification or whatever the fuck he did to just make it seem like he was out there for other reasons other than to tell Sting and Jeff Hardy to get the fuck out of the ring as quick as possible. Because Hardy was going to hurt somebody or hurt himself. And it wasn't a good look for Hardy. It wasn't a good look for TNA. They had a main event match that lasted like 3 seconds. The pay-per-view went off the air early. They had to do a make good so their fans didn't hate them. And that's that kind of shit, like an exploding barbed wire death match that doesn't explode, that just little by little will eat away at your fan base till they're gone and you're not going to get them back. You can't have shit like that. Eric Bischoff went out there, took care of the business, and made the best call, in my opinion, because what else can you do? They didn't have time to shoot an angle backstage. They didn't have time to get somebody else out there to replace Hardy. They weren't able to do shit but go out there. Like, apparently nobody even noticed Hardy was fucked up till he walked past to go out to the ring. At that point, it's too late. What are you going to do? Tell him no? I think Bischoff made the right call there. I like what he did. He did about the best thing that he could have did in that situation. He did a better job at handling the situation than Dixie did. It is what it is, but it's one of those scars on the history of TNA that they can't get over. I highly recommend going back and checking out this full podcast. Get the full scoop, the full rundown. Conrad and Eric break down the whole show and everything building up to that main event and the fallout from it and everything else that goes along with it. Great stuff. Absolutely worth a listen. 83 weeks with Eric Bischoff every single Monday. Speaking of Christian Cage and AEW, Christian Cage, as we talked about earlier, made his AEW debut this past weekend, I should say, at AEW Revolution. Signed his contract for a long-term deal. Christian was on the Renee Paquette Oral Sessions podcast this week. She got the big scoop in the first interview with the newly signed Christian. And she asked Christian about signing with AEW and how all that came about. Check this out.
Was it a difficult decision to really decide to come to AEW? I mean, like you said, you left WWE back in 2005, went to TNA. Yeah. But for you to come back to this conclusion, was it difficult for you to get there?
I mean, of course. I mean, there's always, whenever there's like some sort of, decision like that life-altering decision, there's a lot of thought that goes into it. Obviously, I didn't have a lot of time to think about this, but it was like, what I really needed was the best platform for me to, like said, I kind of got a second lease on life here with this, to be able to showcase that, but also help. Yeah. Where could I help also the next generation the best? And that's kind of what I felt here at AEW. Like that was this, like my initial talks with Tony, like I said, the first conversation we had, we talked for 2 hours. Yeah. And from that initial conversation, I was like, man, like I didn't think it was going to go that well. And it came together pretty quickly after that, I think we hit it off, kind of had the same feeling as to where he saw me and what I could do and what I could bring to the table and how I could help the roster and help myself and help the show. And it's like, there's something intriguing about that to me. Yeah. And I like a challenge. Yeah. And it was not an easy decision, but it also wasn't a hard decision, if that makes any sense. Yeah. There was something intriguing about being able to be a little more hands-on with everything and having that challenge as well. It just felt like the right situation. And like, there's nothing wrong with WWE and the way they do things. Sure. And
it works obviously to a degree. For certain people, it's great, but you've already done it, and it's like trying on a new hat and figuring new shit out.
So it's one of the, like, I needed this for me at this point.
And your music, you're able to get the old Christian Cage music. So that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's cool. And like, Tony had brought up, like, he was such a fan of the Christian Cage TNA era. So I was like, why can't we use that music?
Christian debuting in AEW is a huge get for AEW. I'm going to say the same thing I said about the Big Show. It's great to have him around, just to have backstage with the younger talent in general. Now, I know with Big Show just happening and now Christian getting signed, a lot of people are on the too many ex-WWE guys, too many old guys, blah, 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 blah. TNA. It's not the same thing, and here's why. Because AEW has done a fantastic job of building up their own stars. Creating stars, building them up, putting them in the main event. As long as they continue to do that, and we don't start to see main events being Christian versus Jericho for the world title and fucking Big Show versus whoever the fuck. You get my point. As long as they are able to walk that fine line, because again, I think that's a stupid argument to begin with. I think if there's a free agent out there in wrestling and they have name value and they can bring something to your company, you sign them. You don't worry about whether they came from another fucking of course they came from another company. Any wrestler worth their shit spent time in WWE if they're not brand new and just starting out, right? So if you're not the homegrown stars in AEW, chances are you're probably from TNA or you're from WWE, and that's okay as long as you're not trying to run your promotion as the fucking WWE Attitude Era with all the old Attitude Era guys that are all fat, out of shape, balding, gray, whatever the fuck, okay? As long as you're not doing that and you're pushing your own stars, you're building your own stars, there's nothing wrong with this. You guys read too much internet. You guys think you know more than you know. Okay? Oh, another WWE guy. Oh, they're just like TNA. They're not, and you're wrong. All of that's bullshit. Christian, great signing for AEW, and despite the overwhelming hype that maybe he didn't deliver on, being, The Rock or anything, this is a great move still, and I'm excited to see it. Christian also talked about how he was able to get himself cleared and what led to all of this to begin with. Check this out.
Just say, hey, let's hop on FaceTime. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, no problem. Yeah. And then you're like, hey, by the way, medically cleared. It was like, excuse fucking me? What? Yeah. Like, I had no idea that was ever going to be a possibility.
Yeah. The whole thing kind of started when I did the unsanctioned match with Randy, where I couldn't get physically touched. And it was a real thing. And I was like, really? This is where I'm at, that I can't get touched, And it's like, so I kind of took it upon myself and I made my own appointment and all those sorts of things. And I went to, there's a place in Tampa called the University of South Florida Concussion Center. And I saw them before I was retiring and all those sorts of things. So I saw the same doctor. I made the appointment, went in on my own, didn't tell anybody I was doing it. My thought process was, if I go in and they tell me that they think I'm good, it opens up new doors. And if they say, you shouldn't do this, I'm in no different situation than I was when I woke up that morning. Sure. So I went into the tests and I sat down with the doctor after, and he's like, you like crushed these tests.
When was this? Like October?
It was earlier than that. It was like June.
Oh shit.
End of June. And he's like, you were average or above average on all these test scores. You didn't fail on anything. And then all your physical scores were good. And then we just had a conversation. I just told him like where my head was at. And I was like, if you think I'm crazy and you don't think I should do this, that's fine. But I just needed to know. And he's like, I don't think you're crazy at all. I think you can do this.
I mean, that is crazy.
I think there's an element of, we don't want you to wrestle here anymore as well. I never got the impression, same with Daniel Bryan and anybody else that this has happened with, Edge aside, because that was a neck issue and nobody wants him to be paralyzed in the ring or whatever. But with this concussion situation, I almost get the impression that WWE uses this as a way to it's a way to get out of having to use these guys. They don't like Daniel Bryan. They never have. That's clear. They don't like him. He's small. He's bland. He's plain. Blech. What do people see in this guy? They don't get it. Same with Christian. Oh, that creepy little bastard. We got to put a blue dot over his face. Ha ha ha. Like, if they don't like you or don't see the value in you, they will find a way to not use you. And I think having you got a concussion. Well, we can't have you. You too many concussions. We don't want you in our ring anymore. And they can just say that's that. And obviously there was some medical trueness to that. I'm not the doctor, so I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, they were perfectly capable of wrestling, because they may not have been. But we also all of a sudden run into the situation where, oh, there's another company here. Yeah, you can wrestle now. That's fine. Daniel Bryan, they did that with, but Daniel Bryan was also still worth money to WWE. I don't think Christian was worth. I don't know what he was asking. I don't know. Christian's not a main eventer. Christian is a top of the mid card, bottom of the main event type kind of guy. He's not your biggest star. He is a key player, can be a key player. He's not your biggest star. So WWE passed on him, and AEW took him up, and Christian had to wait 7 years to get cleared before he could even have this conversation. And who knows if he tried before that. I didn't hear him say that he tried previously and was told he couldn't. We just know he was told he could not wrestle anymore. And then he gave it up. He let go of his dream. He did other things. He was happily retired, sitting on the couch eating Cheetos, and then just decided to say, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to go wrestle. And he went and wrestled. And now he's in AEW. And WWE did miss the boat by not signing him. They just had him at the Royal Rumble. So they just have somebody that was just now at the Royal Rumble. All of a sudden he's going to be in AEW because they didn't want to sign him. Christian also made mention in this podcast interview that he got his original theme music back from TNA because of the working relationship with Impact and AEW. I think he said they tweaked it a little bit, kind of like a remixed version or a little revamped version to make it more of an AEW thing. But essentially, it's his same theme music, and that I believe was his idea to just bring it. He said he just mentioned to Tony Khan, like, why can't we use my original theme music? And they apparently must have reached across the aisle over to TNA with that good working relationship, and they got they got permission or rights, or I don't know, maybe they own it outright. Who knows? But Christian's got his own theme music back, and I loved that theme music, right? The TNA Christian theme music. I'll even go as far as to say Christian in TNA was a fantastic, one of the best eras of TNA, period. Christian, for those of you that didn't follow TNA or weren't around back then or didn't want to watch it, Christian's run as champion in TNA at that time was a fantastic era. He was working with AJ Styles. He was fucking NWA champion. He held it down. He held his own as a main eventer, and he was fun to watch. So fully capable, fully believe in Christian's ability, and Christian will be a great asset to AEW. Go check out that interview with Renee Young, Renee Paquette, Renee Good, Renee whatever the fuck you want to call her. It's oral sessions. Not that kind of oral sessions, the speaking kind, you know. Rikishi looks good now. Back that ass up. Right? Back that ass right up in somebody's face and just smear it around. Ever wonder how all that got started? Check out this clip.
I didn't know Bossman fell down in that position. And all I heard was, Rikishi, turn around and stick your butt in his face. And I'm like, this is where that look comes from, to where I'm kind of looking slowly, because I'm looking in the front row, who's saying that, who's yelling that. And as I turned around and I seen Bossman in that corner. And when I took the first step, Chris, you can hear like the pop of the crowd. It kind of came up. Took the next step. It came up higher. By the time I got to him and I turned around, it was like a pop that I've never, ever heard in my career. Like, damn, this is what it feels like. And it was there, it was, the people are ready. And all I can hear, Bossman. Now, keep in mind, we have never done this move before, me and Bossman. Bossman says, all right, baby, go ahead and stick that booty in my face. We got him now. And I said, you sure? He said, bring it on, baby. Oh, bless his heart. He took that damn stink face like a champ, man. And that was on a Sunday, Chris. The next day was Monday Night Raw. Yeah. And that's when the stink face was introduced to the world.
What a story.
Big Boss Man is an unsung hero of professional wrestling. You are a top star, a top talent, and you are asking another man to back up his sweaty, dimpled, fat, disgusting ass cheeks with a thong wedged up the middle, right up in your face, and just rub it right in. Just get up in there. And he did this over and over with so many talents. These guys are getting ass sweat. I mean, can you know what swamp ass is like on yourself, right? You go out for a jog, or you're working out, or you're just fat and you just get sweaty walking around the house. You get that swamp ass going where you can feel your cheeks just kind of dripping a little bit. You know what I'm talking about. Don't pretend you don't. Your underwear gets all wet. Sometimes you got to wedgie yourself to absorb it a little. You know what I'm talking about. Don't deny this. Now picture that backing up to you after a fucking 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute match. Just sweating, dripping. Who knows if he wiped completely? Who knows what he ate earlier in that day in catering? And he's just smearing it. This isn't a work. This isn't a gimmick. This isn't pretend. Some guys will turn their face, but if they knew what was good for them and they were on national TV, maybe a house show you turn your face. But when you're on national TV, your face gets up. You got to spread those cheeks and just get up in them. Because you're on TV, you have to get that ass juice all over your eyes and your nose and your lips and chin and yeah. This was a great interview with Chris Van Vliet again. I had a smile on my face after this, and I don't even like Rikishi. Rikishi's another he does zero for me. I could take it or leave it. Doesn't matter. But Chris Van Vliet is a great interviewer, and he got a great interview out of Rikishi. Rikishi was humble. He sounded wise beyond his years. He was woke. He understood. He was self-aware. And he was at peace with everything. It was just a great interview to listen to. And I highly recommend going out and finding that one. It finally went down. The big clash on AEW Dark. It was QT Marshall, formerly of the Nightmare Collective or Natural Nightmares or all the Nightmare family, whatever he was part of, all of that, versus the master of the Tornado DDT, Fuego Del Sol. They have been building this matchup on Sammy's vlog for quite some time. Check out the promos and the hype leading into this match.
Yeah, Sammy? Oh, dude, the most viewed dark match in history. It's happening. Well. I've been waiting for you to show up. I just got one question for you, Fuego. Are you ready to go one-on-one with QT?
No. The question is, are you ready to go toe-to-toe with Fuego?
You bet your Burger King ass I'm ready to go toe-to-toe with Fuego. Yeah, you know why? After 6 long months, the biggest match in dark history, Fuego Del Sol versus QT Marshall, the master of the diamond cutter versus the master of the tornado DDT. And I don't know why you're so damn excited. I'm excited because I'll finally prove that I am the master of the diamond cutter. What the hell are you so excited about?
Oh, what am I excited about? Well, that cardio is finally run out, huh? You can't run anymore. You can't be a petrified little bitch anymore, QT. Tonight you face your biggest fear, the tornado DDT.
Here we are trying to have a nice conversation. You're gonna go insult me like that after everything I've done for you week after week after damn week. You finally reminded me why I'm gonna whoop that whopper slinging ass of yours in the middle of that ring on dark.
I think you're scared.
I ain't scared of nothing.
You might be scared of a broken neck. But here's the deal, QT. Huh? I finally figured it out. I finally figured out why you give people like me so much shit. Huh?
Yeah, you deserve it.
Nah, because whether you like it or not, We're a lot alike.
We ain't fucking even close to being alike.
Oh, yeah. Because what do you think people think about when they say, maybe he doesn't have the body for this? Who are they talking about? Huh? Maybe, oh, he's just a job guy. Who do you think they're talking about? Huh?
Ain't me. I had a job since day one here.
Oh, yeah. But maybe a lot of people said you would never make it here to AEW. But what did you do? You proved your worth. And not only that, the second you step foot in this company, every day since then, you've added value to your worth. And the second I stepped on this vlog, I've added value to my stock. And this is how it goes. Maybe you're scared that people like me are going to show up and show out and take your spot. But don't worry about that, QT. See, tonight, you face your biggest fear. And I'm finally gonna hit it. And that's a tornado DD guarantee. Don't worry, QT. I'm not coming for your spot. Cause I'm gonna be a star.
What the fuck kind of funny cigarettes have you been smoking? No. Fuck all that. Biggest night in dark history. QT versus Fuego. You've been doing the work. Maybe it hasn't landed, but I've seen it. You've been doing the work. Tonight, one-on-one, make sure you bring your ass out there and you do the fucking work. Good luck.
There you have it. The scene was set. The stage was built. The lights were on and never shining brighter for Fuego del Sol. A big hyped match for QT Marshall. We don't ever get too excited to see QT Marshall wrestle ever, but I was excited to see QT Marshall versus Fuego del Sol. And they had a fuck of a match. Holy shit, what a match. I mean, was it a 5-star match? No, but it was a good little match. Fuego finally gets to hit the tornado DDT. But in the end, well, check it out. Let's listen to those highlights.
Well, you hear the crowd responding to this matchup. There is a long-running rivalry between these two men on Sammy Guevara's vlog.
I'll tell you, QT's kind of a bully on the Sammy vlog. I watched it. I think Fuego is Dunsky.
QT is thinking Avalanche Diamond Cutter here. But Fuego takes him down. Huge run off the top. QT is stunned. And Fuego with the biggest opportunity of his AEW career. Nobody home for QT Marshall. He's been stunned by that front face kick.
Look at Fuego. He's going to the top where he does good stuff up there.
Fuego DDT!
Oh, he hit it!
But QT Marshall's momentum carried him out of the ring from that tornado DDT.
QT is a savant of wrestling.
I thought you were going to say savant at getting tornado DDT'd.
Well, Fuego's got to, and he's really got to hustle up to capitalize on this. It's taking him, he tripped up.
The springboard into the diamond cutter.
That, I think, might be all she wrote, folks.
And one more for good measure. QT Marshall, your winner.
I hope they end up signing Fuego. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what the holdup is. He didn't look as crisp as humanly possible. You could tell he's a little bit green still, a little bit indie-rific. But that promo that he cut, he has the heart, the babyface heart of anybody. I'll put up his babyface heart and determination against anybody you got. Fuego needs to get signed. This was an awesome build. An awesome reason to watch Sammy's vlog, the continued story as it was built up, and as it was built up over a month, maybe more, probably, at this point. Brandy was involved, Cody was involved, everything was just built up to perfection. Even Tony Khan came in and contributed to the hype for this match. But in the end, of course, QT had to go over. I honestly thought they were going to give Fuego the win up until the AEW pay-per-view where QT turned on Dustin. Once QT turned on Dustin Rhodes, broke up with that tag team, you knew for sure that he wasn't just going to go out and job to Fuego del Sol. Had it been before that, I definitely think you could have got away with giving Fuego the 1, 2, 3. But if you're going to do anything at all with QT and Dustin, going forward. You don't want to fuck it up with a loss to some guy that's not even signed on fucking AEW Dark. But I recommend going out of your way to watch this. I told all of you last week to go watch it, support it. Hopefully a lot of you did. Hopefully you left the comments, you left your support, you let them know that you were there for Fuego Del Sol versus QT Marshall. But in the end, QT got the win, but I'm excited to see what happens next, and I hope Fuego gets that contract. Fuego's my man. Check out Sammy's vlog every single Tuesday, wherever your Tuesdays are found, motherfucker, bitch. This week on Grilling JR, Conrad and JR talk about one of my favorite WrestleManias of all time, WrestleMania 20. And of course, we all know that the contracts for Brock Lesnar and Bill Goldberg were both up that night, and it was their last match with the company for a little while, as they both came back eventually, of course. But very specifically, JR talks about the last days of Brock Lesnar and a particular phone call that he had with Brock that had him just a little bit scared. Check this out.
I think the payoff, if I'm not mistaken, that we did for that show, is that I think he made $250,000. And so did Goldberg. I remember sitting in my office in Stanford, and Vince's assistant said, Brock Lesnar's on the line. He wanted to talk to Vince, and Vince wants him to talk to you. So that was my prep for that conversation. And like, here he is. So there he goes. And so I get on the phone with him, and he's in a foul mood because he got his payoff, thought he got screwed. I said, what are you basing this on? Did you do a forensic study of the finances of this event? Or did somebody tell you, one of your buddies tell you got screwed in your payoff? What are you basing this on? You have to give me something here. You didn't like it? And he said, I just think you guys screwed me. I said, well, we didn't screw you. And I'm sorry you feel that way. And he hung up on me. And, he's a very unique guy. And I didn't even have a problem with him hanging up on me. He heard his answer. You're not getting any more money. We think we paid you fairly. So, but it was not the phone call that I would have, and, I would just thank God that he was on the phone and not staring me down the gullet. He's a little intimidating.
Last thing I would ever want is to be the guy handing out payouts and have Brock Lesnar look at me, call me, and be upset with me because he was screwed on his payoff. Brock never liked professional wrestling. He might have liked it a little bit. He likes it enough to get paid by it. I don't like picking up garbage, so I don't know that I want to go be a garbage man. So you have to like something to a certain extent to do it for so many years. But he didn't have the passion for it. He wasn't a mark for the business. He didn't grow up a fan. He didn't particularly care about anybody or anything in the business. He didn't care about traditions. He didn't care about anything at all but what he was getting paid and what he was doing that night. To this day, people have great things to say about Brock, but they also say that he's not the easiest guy to work with. He just kind of wants to do what he wants to do, and that's it. And he's only going to show up for special occasions. He's not going to show up on a regular basis. Sure as fuck not going to be on house shows. Back at that time when he was in a full-time contract, Lesnar was pushed to the moon. He came out of college and had a fucking rocket strapped to his back. And he went straight to the top. He beat Hulk Hogan. He beat Brock Lesnar. He beat The Rock. He beat everybody. He won the world title. He fucking won it at WrestleMania in the main event. He did everything that there was to do in such a short amount of time that he could have easily just moved on and never came back, and still possibly had a Hall of Fame career in the short amount of time he was there. Look, not everybody's going to like wrestling. I'm not mad at the guy because he didn't like the business. I'm not mad at the guy because he was a dick to some people or because he doesn't like his payoffs here and there or whatever the fuck. I don't care. He's fun to watch, he's entertaining, and he's great at what he does, and he's a valuable asset to the company. So a lot of people get mad because he doesn't like wrestling or whatever. He's just there for the paycheck, part-timer, blah, blah, blah. But I say, if you got room for a Brock Lesnar on your fucking roster, you hire him and you put him there and you pay what you need to pay because he is a valuable asset and he's going to draw you money. This was a fun podcast to listen to, not just because of the Brock Lesnar, Bill Goldberg situation, but just WrestleMania 20 in general was a fantastic mania. So many things on this card, stuff I even forgot about. Absolutely go out of your way to check out this podcast, Grillin' JR, with your boy Conrad Thompson, every single Thursday. By the way, Something to Wrestle this week did not have Bruce Pritchard talking about Conrad and his little family of podcasts. So it was Conrad going solo, doing a rehash or remix of the first episode ever of Something to Wrestle, chiming in with his 2 cents on little comments here and there. But it's basically just a repeat. Again, Bruce Pritchard missing in action is what it is. Well, folks, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our podcast once again. Thank you guys so much for checking it out all the way to the end. Don't forget to go and support me. You can find me on YouTube. Just search the videos. You could search Pro Wrestling Podcast, Seth Grimes, or whatever the topic may be. We do clips of the bigger segments, and I do the full show as well. All of that can be found on YouTube. Like it, subscribe to it, leave a comment, whatever the fuck you want to do. They can be dirty comments if you want. You can tell me how my ass looks good in these jeans, and I will appreciate you for it. You can also follow me on Twitter at Seth Grimes Media, and stay tuned there for all the happenings anytime there's a new episode, which drops every Sunday, or anything else I'm doing. Whatever the fuck I'm doing. Might be recording a song, might be writing a book, might just be jerking off for a little bit, and then take a picture of it when I'm done and post it on the internet for you to see. You never know. Follow me and enjoy. That's it. That's all. You gotta go. Get the fuck out of here. Peace out. Have a great day. Peace, love, and pizza. I'm Seth Grimes, and this has been the Pro Wrestling Podcast.